The Emotional Health of Sexuality and Self-Acceptance by Audrey Ryer. I came out as gay when I was 13. I was lucky to live in a community where my parents, my friends, and my teachers all accepted me right away. No one ever told me that my feelings were wrong. I honestly hope more queer people in the future will be able to have a coming out experience similar to mine. But as important as momentous as the process of coming out is to the queer community, a coming out is not the end point on a journey of sexuality and self-definition. I anguished about coming out for years before I did, and I mistakenly thought that doing so would fix all of my insecurities and struggles with my sexuality. After I was out, especially since I was one of the first people in my grade to be outwardly gay, I felt like a lot of people only saw me as my sexuality. Being the school's resident gay girl was an awkward burden. People would always track me down or look to me for input if they were questioning their own sexuality. I was the target for any random questions about the queer community. People would ask me about what words or actions were offensive, what it was like to be gay, or who else I thought was gay in the school. I certainly didn't feel qualified to answer questions pertaining to the entire queer community. While these questions were harmless and ultimately well-meaning, I felt that my personality was smothered beneath my sexuality. It felt like something I couldn't escape. This was especially frustrating when I began to question my own sexuality. Questioning my sexuality was only natural. How was I supposed to have my entire sexual identity under control when I hadn't even properly gone through puberty? My freshman year I was experimenting with dating a boy, and the response from my peers was honestly overwhelming. I was bombarded with questions about how I identified and how I labeled myself, and whether I had switched sexualities. A few people even accused me of faking being gay in the first place. Everyone cared about my identity so much, and I felt like their expectations were trapping me in this big gay bubble. Dating boys was a failed experiment, and I retreated to being a lesbian like a turtle retreating back into its shell. That was where I belonged, yes, but I wish I didn't feel so trapped there. The thing is, doubting or exploring my sexuality shouldn't be half as stressful as it is. Every time I question my orientation, I feel like I'm questioning my entire self, but I'm not. My real self is a whole and wonderful person. I'm a storyteller, I'm a bit of a geek, I'm nervous, I can be either really outspoken or exceptionally quiet with no middle ground, and a million other traits and quirks and turns of personality on top of that define me. Why does my sexuality dominate my identity over any other piece of what makes me me? One of my recent goals for self-improvement is to stop letting my sexuality define me. It's not that I'm not proud to be gay, I really am, but for so long I felt this weird obligation to display my sexuality. No one should feel like their sexual or gender identity is owned or monopolized by outward expectations the way I did. I'm learning to self-actualize beyond how people expect the gay girl to act. It's important to me to build an identity that is equally built on every aspect of the really awesome person that I am.